to the jungle reminded me of the 7-4 very twisty turny. This is the view of Lombard's Head from the cross, and this is the cross on top of a mountain that overlooks the city. This is the center of the city, they call it El Centro, and then this is a sampling of the amazing fruit of the Peruvian jungle. These are some of the other volunteers sampling the fruit at our host family home. And this is where I lived for 18 days. That's this is my room. And these are my host parents, Rosa and Luis, and we're all talking to them in the kitchen. This is Potato, and this is one of the dishes that they made for us while we were there. And then this is a moto taxi. It's how everyone gets around in the jungle. For one soul, which is about 30 cents, you can go anywhere in the city per person. And the record is 6 people in one moto taxi. This is the hospital where I volunteered. It was a short walk to the hospital on a dirt road from our host family's house. I was able to observe a surgery on my first day. It was a little different than the surgeries that something you would see at Eisenhower, for example. And then the hospital is celebrating its 1-year anniversary, so they placed some memes out in the courtyard. And this is Helen, one of the registered nurses at the hospital. The next day, the group of volunteers and myself went to Pichamaki, which was about a 2-hour drive from Lomerset. It had rained the night before, and there were a few mudslides along the way. We visited 3 schools and conducted hearing exams in partnership with a Korean organization that was providing hearing aids to the children in need. It was a simple test using a box device and headphones. We tested hundreds of children and were able to detect that a few children had hearing impairments. In the adjacent town of San Ramon, during their Friday street fair, we set up a free health campaign to measure people's blood sugar, blood pressure, BMI, and to give health advice and answer questions. On our first weekend off, we took a long, dangerous hike to a breathtaking waterfall. Our tour guide took us through rapids and up ladders. It was very dangerous and a very long hike, but it was worth it because the waterfall was a very beautiful time. To celebrate the hospital's first-year anniversary, we were able to participate in their Sunday parade. Here in this photo, a little boy is eating ice cream. It was very hot that day. And then the nurses are here marching, and all the Peruvians march in their parade flag. That's very distinctive. Celebrations are a big deal in Peru, particularly parades. For 2 mornings, I spent time with a nurse named Christina in Desarrollo, which is growth and development. Parents would bring their children in for vaccines to get their height and weight and get nutrition assessments. Daniel, a Finberg employee, stepped on a nail, and they told him he needed to get his tetanus shot, so he joked around that they saved his life. And then they make their own cotton balls. For an afternoon, a small group of volunteers went to a school to teach the teachers at the school CPR. First, we gave them a demonstration, and then we watched and say practice. They were very appreciative to be able to learn how to potentially save one of their students' lives someday. On this day, we went to a local school to teach the students about burn safety and first aid. We had made them a book beforehand that included a mascot we called Machatero el Bombero. And it instructed the kids on how to avoid burns and what to do if they were burned. And they were able to color in the pictures. The very bright little boy on the left walks an hour to school each day because his parents can't, and he walks barefoot because his parents can't afford shoes for him. Las danzas were very coordinated dances that the hospital workers put on in celebration of the hospital's anniversary. On our second weekend in the jungle, we visited a laguna. There were tiny fish in the water that ate the dead skin off of our toes. We went for a boat ride, and I even got to paddle. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever seen. We got to act like George in the jungle. One girl even fell into the water. So here I am saying goodbye to my host mom in the jungle after spending 18 days there. And a 4-hour car ride later, I arrived in the mountain city of Huancayo. dug up once the food is cooked. And then we had some ice cream for dessert. The next day, we were able to spend time at a home for teenage moms with some difficult backgrounds and stories. We had a little party with the moms and their kids and watched a presentation one of the swimmer groups gave. My favorite day in Huancayo was when we went with Marcia to El Campo, the field, and offered free flu shots to the people living there. In Peru, flu season is in the summer since their winter is during the summer months. I was able to spend a fun night out with my Huancayo host parents watching the Independence Day festivities. Santiago is a traditional dance of the Sierra with distinct music, costumes, and dancing. We also ate picarones, which is a delicious, light, fluffy Peruvian dessert. If you ever visit Peru, you have to try picarones. They are amazing. My last day in Peru, back in Lima, I spent eating ceviche and going to the beach with some friends before my flight. I was honestly so sad to leave Peru, and I really didn't want to come home. Here I am, back in San Diego, in one piece physically, but I left part of my heart back in Peru.
I can only imagine that you're going to be going back as a doctor or a nurse or something else to go the next step there. I can see it in your face and I can see it here in your voice, and we're extremely proud of you.
Thank you.
Best of luck to you.
Thank you.
Do we have any questions for Christina about her trip? No, I told her now she only has a few minutes because we run a very tight meeting. And so that's why she was going through her cards so quickly. But any questions for this young lady? She will graduate in May, right, at the May pinning ceremony. And where do you see yourself going from here?
Well, I would like to work in critical care, in nursing, and then on my vacations, I definitely want to keep going on trips like this. My next trip that I'd like to go on is India.
Good for you. Well, thank you very much for sharing your story, and it just really brings us a great warm feeling to know that students like you are out there not only